And
This
I'll start talking.
conference will
There
now
it
be
is.
recorded.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Paige Cargioli. My business is Open Heart Holistic Therapy, and I am an EPT practitioner. EPT stands for Emotional Polarity Technique, which is a totally different approach in emotional healthcare. Instead of relying on regular like talk therapy or medication, EPT helps to resolve unresolved conflicts in your past using the science of forgiveness so you can feel more joy and peace in whatever your circumstances are. And so today we have Mandy. And Mandy, is it okay if we record today
Yes, it is.
and post it all over the internet so we can go viral and be real famous?
Sure. If this is what I go viral for, then so be it.
I know, right? Okay. So we talked a little bit before already, but what is it that you would like to, you haven't done EPT before, so this is all brand new to you.
Yep.
But Mandy and I have met in person before, but you volunteered to do this, so thank you for that. So what is it that you would want to focus on today?
So for me right now, my recent emotional focus has been like kind of clearing out negative or toxic relationships, things that don't serve me. And as I've been doing that, I've been noticing that a lot of it is centered around like just kind of finding my own joy. And these
Mhm.
relationships don't seem to thrive when I'm joyful. And so it's been really hard. I'm not one to really let go of relationships. I hold on and I want to be happy with that person. And so I do a lot to try and fix them. And then when I decide, you know what, I'm just going to be joyful, then that's when they crumble. And so it's really hard to accept that and let
Mhm.
go.
So it's like having joy equals bad relationship, and not having joy equals a relationship.
Yeah, someone.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we'll work on these toxic, like the idea of the toxic relationship and you being able to be happy and have a relationship.
Yeah. And
And
feel
not,
guilty.
and yeah, and release whatever that guilt is or shame you have maybe in your own joy. Um, okay. And I'm like, okay. So let's see. I'm like looking at what I have written down. Um, all right. So when we start, it's always seeing what the focus is. So what I want you to do to start, we're gonna build rapport. And I don't think you have any magnets with you. So we use magnets in EPT. No. You're like maybe.
I have a hematite crystal, which is magnetic.
Well, I don't know if you know the north or south. It's okay. Just have it in front of you. It'll. Here you go. So what we're gonna do to build rapport is you're gonna put your hands on your head, and you're gonna squeeze and then inhale and then release on the exhale. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And then you're gonna hold the point right in between your eyes and then behind your head, right at your occipital, at the base of your skull. And then the same thing, you kind of squeeze and lift and breathe in. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So if we were in person, I would be doing that to you.
Okay.
Well, with your permission, of course. And we would have magnets. So that's just to build a rapport between the two of us so that I can do muscle testing. So to muscle test, I just use my hand like this. Have you ever been muscle tested?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, okay. So I'm doing muscle testing on this side. So I'm thinking about the distress you feel with the relationships. Like, what would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say would be, like, how distressed are you about this?
I'd say like an 8.
Yeah, like a 9, yeah, 9. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's kind of high.
it's really high.
Okay. Elation is a 0, so I also test elation to see if so with the sort of stress of the relationship, you're not addicted to that stress, or addicted to the toxicity of the relationship, which is good. I was like, it's possible maybe there is some sort of something there, but no, it's a 0. And I check that just because sometimes people are addicted to things that aren't good for them, and you want that. You don't want to be happy with the things that are bad for you. So,
Yeah.
um, okay, so then I'm going to check stage of healing. So there are 7 stages of healing, and it's just like the stages of grief, denial, anger, bargain, depression, acceptance. I have this card, but I'll just explain them. Um, so we'll see where you are with your relationships. Um, so we're showing up as a 2, so anger for this issue. All right, let's see. Now I check for blocks to healing. So blocks to healing are showing up, paying attention, tell the truth, and let go. So if one of these things are weak, or if you're not able to show up, pay attention, tell the truth, or let go, it's a lot harder to heal. And this just helps me to make the statements once we get to that point. So showing up is weak. And I'm gonna guess that showing up is probably more like to be your authentic self means that I'm hurting someone else or making them unhappy. So you don't want to show up as your authentic self because that ruins the relationship, supposedly.
Yeah.
Okay. Today we are only going to work on one issue. So now I'm testing for the who, what, when, where, and the emotions. So I'm like, I have these cards and I'm like looking up at them. Okay. Anger, anger. Okay, so all right, so it's so I check for like the current situation that's kind of triggering and then go back to the past. So currently it's I feel my anger with it would be a past romantic partner. So you want to name a couple?
Sure. Like,
You could just do a letter or something if you want. You don't have to like, or just like you could number them even. Just let me know.
my most recent is Sasha, and then my ex, well, soon to be ex-husband is Andrew.
Okay, it's Andrew.
Okay.
Okay, so it's my anger at Andrew because you fill in the blank.
I feel betrayed.
Oh, uh, okay, so I feel you betrayed because
um, we were married, and then he just overnight decided he
oh,
didn't want to be.
really? So he just like up and left.
I was in Europe for a healing trip. I was really, really sick, and I was in Europe for 2 months getting treatment. And the day before I flew home, I get a text message that he's not happy, he never was, and that it was over. I flew home the next day. He didn't show up to the airport, completely ghosted me, and 2 days later said he wanted a divorce. We've not like hung out since, sat down since, talked really, and that's been over a year. And we
Okay,
are
so
still not divorced because he's not doing anything about it. So I had to
but
file. I had to
what?
file. I had to get the lawyer. I have to refinance the house. I have to do everything. And he told me, this is happening. Get on board.
But he didn't do anything. He's like, this is happening, but we're not doing anything. Okay, so is it just I feel the betrayal is that he doesn't want to take care of me?
It's that like you made a commitment and then
Oh,
something happened where you weren't true to yourself or to me or something. I don't even know.
does the,
I never got like an answer. We never really had a convo other than he
but
was
also,
never happy and shouldn't have married me in the first place.
oh, okay. So my anger with Andrew because maybe betrayal, I guess like he lied or he broke a promise.
Yeah, yeah, just wasn't authentic, maybe.
Okay. Or at least it also could just be my anger with Andrew because he hasn't he hasn't been truthful. Like he just and you
There's
haven't
no
been
responsibility. Like that's what I think it is. Like no accountability or responsibility or I'm just like left out here to do it all and to take care of it all.
like
Left high
would
and
it
dry.
so did he not give like he gave no reason?
He just said that he wasn't happy and
So,
hasn't been for a while, and he was never happy, which anyone that knows him in our relationship would be like, how's that possible? Like, what?
okay.
It all just didn't make sense, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the being in off like my anger with Andrew, like broke a promise is um um yeah, well, and that's why it more feels like he broke a promise than he necessarily lied or even was inauthentic. Like
Yeah,
it's almost like his happiness is above your happiness. Like
yeah. It was totally random. And when I needed him most, because I was sick and healing, and he just couldn't handle the pressure, or he just wanted to live a different life. Like, there's so many unanswered questions, and I don't think he's capable of like expressing them. So,
so he hasn't even said like exactly why, just I'm unhappy.
yeah, he said a bunch of stuff that didn't make sense at the time. I thought they were all kind of just like stories he put in his head to feel more justified for his own decision.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Uh,
like things that it was like things he was just saying.
how long were you guys together?
We were best friends, coworkers,
Uh,
roommates.
yeah,
Then we dated, engaged, married for 3 years, but 10 years of like a solid
10
friendship.
years
So
total. Okay.
yeah, like I mean, we had a friendship before any
Yeah,
of this happened. So it was kind of like couldn't even just give me a heads up or a combo.
yeah, like yeah. Okay. All right. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check and see sort of like where this trigger is from the past. So, all right. So, um, this is again my anger again. 4 years old. So it's from when you're 4 years old with dad.
Yep, they're like pretty much the same person. They really are. I
Really?
realized that. I realized that this summer. I spent 2 months at home, and that's why I cut my dad off. I literally spent a long process, but I finally decided now's the time, and I just kind of severed the relationship.
Or I mean, is okay. So it's I feel my anger with my dad when I'm 4. Do you remember it from anything from when you were 4, or anything that was going on?
No, my parents were married. My mom's family lived in Germany. They would come over a lot to help take care of me. I would go to Europe a lot to spend time with them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but no, they didn't get divorced until I was like 8.
Okay.
So
But chances are they had issues before then.
not sure.
All right. So I felt my anger with dad when I'm 4. Would you have been in preschool or anything? Do you know? Or did you go to
Probably right,
kindergarten?
probably right about like preschool maybe.
Mm-hmm. Or like what was your dad like? Why would you be angry at him when you're 4?
I just remember that he worked a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the earliest memories I really remember of my parents was like my dad would work a lot and then would like kind of always do his own thing and always like made my mom feel like rejected or like she didn't matter. He was very like his personality is very like I'm right, everyone
Mm-hmm.
else is wrong. I know the right way to do everything. If you do it my way,
Okay.
you're gonna be fine. So
Do you have any memories of him when you were 4 that you can like besides him working a lot? Okay.
oh
Okay. So I felt my anger with my dad at 4. And I mean, or anything that would have to do with like, well, it could be he broke a promise or he said he was going to do something and then didn't. I don't know if that was something that would happen.
it's happened a lot my whole life with him, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm
And it
sure it started young.
and I could see it happening and you being like devastated in some respects, like, or or just starting to figure this out now, like around 4, where you're like, well, he said he was going to do this, but then didn't,
Yeah,
or like, um, or he does whatever he wants to do, even if he acts like he cares about your input.
yeah, yeah. And I know like he had an affair before my parents separated, so maybe that was like the time it started. And he was like
Oh,
already kind of like lying to my mom about his whereabouts, and maybe
okay.
I picked up on it, and overhearing them say like you should have been home, but you weren't. Where were you? Like I don't know. As the
Oh,
kid,
oh, maybe.
like I've never thought of this before, but now it's like sort of
Uh,
these scenarios are like this is possible.
okay, okay. So, and I was gonna ask something, but I'm like I mean, the breaking a promise, but also the sense that like he can, he can have some sort of happiness, but I can't, like,
Yes.
like my happiness is always at the expense of him. Um, uh, all right. And then, and so you're okay. Did you have siblings and stuff then too?
I have a younger brother. Yep, he's 2 years younger.
Okay, so he was two, you were four. Okay. You may have been in school. The affair may have been around then or something. And what, I mean, the relationship with your parents, like, did your dad just do whatever he wanted or like what?
Yeah, pretty much. He
Okay.
made the money, kind of did whatever. My mom was more like very submissive. I mean, she was new to this
Okay.
country, so like
Oh,
she moved from Europe here. They were married, then he just found someone else and left her high and dry in the United States with two kids. Like,
okay.
I saw that all go down.
Oh, wow. So how did they meet?
He was in the military in Germany, and he was
Okay.
20, she was 18, and they fell in love and got married like within a year. And she moved to the States and started a
And
whole
then,
new life with him. And
and then yeah, no, it was no good. And then it was like what I
I mean,
expected
it's
was,
20 years, but
yeah.
still, I can't.
Is your mom in Germany now?
Nope, she's still,
Oh, she's still here.
yep, yep.
Hmm.
They still live like 10 miles from each other, and
Well, I mean, it makes sense. Like,
yeah, they're
you know.
they're on good-ish terms now.
Okay.
They
Um,
tolerate each other. They know who each other is.
yeah, okay. All right. So what we're gonna do now is um put a hand on your liver. If we
Okay.
had magnets, I would be using magnets. EPT is like about 80% the same over virtual versus in person, but the in person part is like my hands are on you, like we're doing, but we do our best with what we can because COVID. All
Yeah.
right, so so it's your right hand on your liver, which is where it is, and then one hand on your forehead. And then
Yep.
it's I'm thinking about my anger at my dad when I'm four because he broke a promise. So breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. All right. You can take your hands down. Now we're going to see if there's any other emotions. Yes. Let's see. So heart, lost and vulnerable. So this is again from when you're four. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's your feeling of feeling lost and vulnerable
Yeah.
towards your dad. Mm, so what would be the because there? I feel lost and vulnerable with my dad because he doesn't listen.
Yeah. He definitely does not listen.
um,
He always had like high expectations, but never like showed up. Like was never really present. Like I could share something with him. Like happened this summer. I shared something with him about quitting my job,
mhm.
and he didn't even comment or respond. He like it was like I said nothing out loud. There's no interest in like my life or what I'm doing. There's no questions. It's not. There's no interest. Like there
Okay.
is on a if I find out like you're doing great, then I can brag about you to other people. But it's not like a
Mm,
genuine like he doesn't even know like the name of where I work, like the job.
okay. So it's okay. Well, the listening, I'm thinking listening is working, but I'm also thinking it's again, it's like I feel lost and vulnerable with dad because it's like my joy or sadness doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's not that he just doesn't listen, he doesn't empathize at all.
yeah, exactly. I think I always tried to like impress him,
Okay.
and that's like always been a theme in our relationship where I've always tried to like do good in school or do this or do that to like impress him, but then there's no like reward or like
Either
appreciation.
way.
Yeah,
Like it
there's
doesn't go either way. Like he would he even be sad if you were sad about something? Like
I don't think he'd recognize it.
okay. All right.
My
Um
mom would deal with it, I'm sure.
okay. Awesome vulnerable with dad because um it's like I guess you could also just say something like he doesn't care. That might be a little strong, but um
No,
that's
I
like sort of
it
uh-huh.
is. Yeah,
But I mean like if that's how you feel, uh so it's like he doesn't care about my accomplishments or my feelings really.
yeah, my feelings definitely.
Doesn't care.
He can't empathize. Like there's no empathy.
But it feels like it's only with you. Well, he might have it for everybody, but like,
Yeah, I
he might
think
be able
there's
to fake it. He might be able to fake it better with different people.
yeah, I think there's like this his feelings are like rationalized. So it's like, well, don't be upset because you can do this, this, this and about it. Or like
hmm
no point in dwelling on that because it doesn't matter, like just
Yes. So he can't like he doesn't like to connect because he doesn't lost and vulnerable with dead because I can't connect with him.
yeah, exactly. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Mm. But does he have like a does he have a tendency to like pop your bubble though too? Like if you're happy, it's like, well, don't be too happy, and if you're sad, it's like, well, don't be too sad. Like,
Not I feel like that it doesn't really go in either direction. He's
okay, okay. So
very
in
like
that,
mono
yeah,
feeling. Like,
okay,
I could be really excited about something, he'd be like, "Oh, that's really good," and then like distracted and move on to the next thing. Or like there's been a lot of times I've like verbalized things and then like there's not even like a comment or like follow up question or like,
okay,
oh, it's like, oh,
okay,
okay, good.
okay. So it's almost like I feel lost and vulnerable because I'm trying to connect, but he doesn't respond. Yeah.
And the only way I know that he cares is by like him bragging to other people. And then other people are like, your dad loves you so much. Like your dad talks about
Yep.
you all the time. Like your dad does
Yep.
this. And it's like, oh,
Like,
well, that's only so you looked good to other people. It wasn't really
oh
like
yeah.
about me.
Well, and I mean, sometimes it's just because I don't know, just struggles, like or he might think, well, that I
Yeah.
love you, like,
Yeah. Obviously, I'm your dad.
yes. So yeah, and maybe it's like a similar thing in the present, like with Andrew, where it's more um, okay, I know what we're doing. I'm like, let's just keep moving.
They're almost the same person, like literally.
Um, so you have this like strong desire to connect and like have a conversation and be heard, and sometimes these guys just aren't interested.
Yeah, like they don't know how. They can't like open up. And then
um
I feel like, well, why even share anything then? Like, why even talk about myself or
mhm,
what I want or what
mhm.
makes me happy? Like, why even bother? Because like they don't care.
Like why waste your time? Mhm. But
Yeah,
again,
exactly. And
like
I just shut down.
yeah, okay, and I'm just not like I'm not sure they don't care. They might
Right.
just be like I think like they just have a low tolerance, maybe,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
for emotions. I don't know.
I just feel like they're not like super heart centered. Like they have
Mm,
their own trauma and they've never processed it. So if they had to feel feelings, they'd feel like too many.
mm.
And so they just feel none.
It's one at a time, very, very compartmentalized or numb. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So put a hand on your heart and a hand on your forehead. And we're thinking about your dad, who I feel lost and vulnerable because I can't connect with him and he doesn't seem to care about my feelings. So breathe in. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right. And again, for anyone who's going to be watching this, I follow a little emotion chart. So if you know like acupuncture, like lost and vulnerable is heart, but also safe, secure, and complete is heart. So it's the emotions based on where they are in the organs. So that's how I figure out what the emotion is. All right, so no other emotions. Okay, I'll take it. At least for today. All right, so the next, wait, let me check for, I was checking for trauma. So I checked for either phase 1 trauma or phase 2 trauma. It's from a book called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And the phase 1 is essentially like fight or flight, where you're trying to survive, you're running from the bear, you're looking for a place to hide, you're climbing up the tree, you're just like, it is fight or flight, or you're going to fight the bear to the death. And phase 2 trauma is freeze, essentially. So you've been caught by the bear and you're about to die, so you just black out so you don't notice. Like, these can be like emotional or physical, and sometimes you kind of experience it in your everyday life, where you might dissociate, or where maybe you just have high anxiety and you're trying to get things accomplished. So at least in this situation, you're in a phase 1 place, so you're probably trying to do whatever you possibly can to connect. So like it's like you just like want to like shake them into connection, like and that's where you're operating from. And they're probably like in phase 2, where they're just like, everyth's fine.
Yes, just be happy. Everything's good. Why are you upset?
So, and I don't know if like you were sick when you were 4. That's another thing. Like if you had a trauma, if you fell, or if you had an illness, or if somebody else had an illness, or sometimes 4 is kind of young. You may or may not. Okay. All right. So I checked the trauma phase just to see where we're gonna put magnets and things. So phase 1 trauma is left brain is under functioning, right brain is over functioning. So while we say statements, you can do 2 things. You can or you can do both, I guess, since you have both hands. You can tap the left side of your head, because that's the slow side right now, while we say the statements. Or you can just rub these points if you get tired of tapping. So again, for anybody watching, I do follow a little card on our statements, but I also do a lot of improvising as well. I also, for my own energy, have a little Qigong machine that does sound therapy. It's called the Infratonic Nide, made in the USA. So I have that on me while we do statements. And if you were here, it would be on you. So.
Can't wait to come in person.
So all right. But otherwise, yes. Okay, so what we'll do is I will repeat the statement and you repeat after me. So I'll pause between what I think you can remember, basically. All right, so say, I forgive myself for believing.
While I'm tapping?
Oh yeah, sorry, I can tap too. There you go. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
This anger, and feeling lost and vulnerable.
Feeling lost and vulnerable.
With my dad. Will always be this way in my life.
Will always be this way in my life.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
That the anger I had with my dad.
That the anger I had with my dad.
When I was 4. Because he broke a promise. Was my fault. And breathe. I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
That feeling lost and vulnerable with my dad. Because I can't connect with him. Is my fault.
And breathe.
I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
this anger and feeling lost and vulnerable
this anger and feeling lost and vulnerable
can't change
can't change
until I connect with my dad.
until I connect with my dad.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that my dad has to change
that my dad has to change
before I can show up
before I can show up,
and feel safe, secure, and complete.
feel safe, secure, and complete.
Love, forgiveness, and happiness.
Love, forgiveness, and happiness.
Being myself.
Being myself.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to hold on to anger
I have to hold on to anger
to get my dad's attention.
get my dad's attention.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that this memory from when I was 4
that this memory from when I was 4
has to change
has to change
before I can love and accept myself
before I can love and accept myself
the way I am.
the way I am.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
Forgive myself for believing
I can't express my anger
I can't express my anger
because it won't matter.
because it won't matter.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
if I don't care,
if I don't care,
that makes me like my dad.
that makes me just like my dad.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to fix the anger I had with my dad
I have to fix the anger I had for my dad
by getting in another relationship.
by getting in another relationship.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
uh, um, I have to be loyal to my mom
I have to be loyal to my mom
by getting into another relationship.
by getting into another relationship.
Yeah, and to fix these feelings of anger, to fix these feelings of anger,
To fix
and
these feelings of anger,
feeling lost and vulnerable.
feeling lost and vulnerable.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I have to feel shame
I have to feel shame
and guilt
and guilt
when when I have joy,
when I have joy.
or yeah, breathe. Let's go with that. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I can't be happy
I can't be happy
and not feel guilty.
and not feel guilty.
And breathe. Oh, I forgive myself for believing
Forgive myself for believing
uh, I can't be happy
I can't be happy
because my mom wasn't happy with my dad.
because my mom wasn't happy with my dad.
And breathe. I love and accept myself
I love and accept myself
even when I'm afraid.
even when I'm afraid.
If I'm happy,
If I'm happy,
that will be worse for my mom.
that will be worse for my mom.
And breathe. Or I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
if I'm happy,
if I'm happy,
then my dad will leave,
and my dad will leave.
and there'll never be a chance for the promise to be kept
Will there never be a chance for the promise to be kept
or to connect.
or to connect?
Yeah, I'm breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for hurting my feelings
for hurting my feelings
when he couldn't connect with me
when he couldn't connect with me
and he didn't seem to care.
and he didn't seem to care.
And breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for bringing up this anger
for bringing up this anger
when I was 4
before,
and he broke a promise
and he broke a promise
so that he could be happy.
so that he could be happy.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
you can't be happy
you can't be happy
without breaking promises.
without breaking promises.
Yeah, and breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for not knowing how to care for my feelings or connect with me
for not knowing how to care for my feelings or to connect with me
when I was 4.
when I was 4.
And breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
um, um, uh, let's see. I forgive my dad for um, for thinking I'm stupid
I forgive my dad for thinking I'm stupid
when I am happy about something
when I am happy about something
or when I'm sad about something.
or when I'm sad about something.
Yeah, I'm breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for not being able to show up
for not being able to show up
and connect
and connect
um, without feeling guilty
without feeling guilty
for his own broken promises.
for his own broken promises.
And breathe. I forgive my dad for not being able to show up
I forgive my dad for not being able to show up
and be happy with me.
and be happy with me.
And breathe. I forgive my dad
I forgive my dad
for putting his own happiness above mine.
for putting his own happiness above mine.
And breathe. The thing is, I don't think he even really connects that deeply with his own emotions. So like,
No,
like
he does. He doesn't know what
so
they
like,
are.
so like putting his happiness above yours is more just like putting what I want above you. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's more about wants. Like you get what you want, I get what I want.
yeah.
The end.
He just wants. Yeah, like he kind of lives in that like, let's just do this and do that and do that, and then when the boxes are checked, everyone's good and
Yeah,
we're done.
yeah,
We're done.
exactly.
That's how Andrew was. The exact same way. If we could just accomplish all these tasks and everyone has what they need, then we're all good. Everything good.
Okay.
Perfect.
I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
If I show up and need something from my dad,
If I show up and need something from my dad,
he'll only fail.
I'll only fail.
And breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that when I need,
when I need,
no one will be there for me
no one will be there for me
because my dad wasn't.
because my dad wasn't.
Yeah, breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
the love my dad had
the love my dad had
or has
or has
will never be enough.
will never be enough.
And breathe. I think these guys are kind of doing their best, but it's like it's still kind of
Yeah.
like um
Yeah, they're not like malicious or like mean-hearted or mean-spirited. They're like everyone loves them.
yeah. How about I forgive myself for believing.
Forgive myself for believing.
Um, I can't feel
I can't feel
safe, secure, and complete
safe, secure, and complete.
love, forgiveness, and happiness
Love, forgiveness, and happiness.
until my dad fixes this broken promise.
When my dad fixes this broken promise.
Um, and is there for me the way I needed him when I was 4.
And is there for me the way I needed him when I was 4.
And breathe. um, I um, I give my dad permission to forgive me
I give my dad permission to forgive me
when I blame him
when I blame him
for the anger
for the anger
I feel
I feel
when he broke a promise.
when he broke a promise.
And breathe. I give my dad permission
I give my dad permission
to forgive me
to forgive me
for blaming, or to forgive me when I want him
when I want him
to feel the same hurt I feel.
to feel the same hurt I feel.
Yeah, and breathe. I give my dad permission to forgive me
I give my dad permission to forgive me
for blaming him
for blaming him
for why I keep getting in these toxic relationships.
for why I keep getting in these toxic relationships.
And breathe. I give my dad permission to forgive me
I give my dad permission to forgive me
for when I blame him
for when I blame him
for why I can't connect in a healthy relationship.
for why I can't connect in a healthy relationship.
And breathe. Uh,
I got one. You want to hear it?
sure.
I'll take it.
You get double team.
You get double team.
You're it.
All right, here we go. I give myself permission to let go
I give myself permission to let go
of everything
of everything
my dad
my dad,
and let's see, what was his name?
Andrew.
Andrew, yeah, my dad and Andrew could not or would not give me.
Okay, say that one again.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to let go
to let go
of everything,
of everything,
all the love,
all the love,
all the fulfilled promises
all the fulfilled promises
that they wouldn't give me.
that they wouldn't give me.
I let go
I let go
of holding all of the stuff
of holding all of the stuff
they wouldn't give me.
they wouldn't give me.
I say yes to it
I say yes to it.
and I release it
I release it.
from my body, mind, and spirit.
My body, mind, and spirit.
And then breathe. Yeah. I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for believing
for believing
that there's something they owe me and I can't move forward until I get it.
that there's something they owe me and I can't move forward till I get it.
I forgive them of everything I thought they owed me
I forgive them of everything I thought they owed me
so that I can be set free.
so I can be set free.
And I don't have to look for people who can't keep promises anymore.
And I don't have to look for people who can't keep promises anymore.
So just so I can feel like I'm whole.
Just so I can feel like I'm whole.
And then breathe. Yeah. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
there is something missing in my relationship with my dad.
there's something missing in my relationship with my dad.
And I'm going to have to find it in people like Andrew.
I'm gonna have to find it in people like Andrew.
That until I get this missing thing,
Until I get this missing thing,
I will have to have people who can't give it in my life.
I will have to have people who can't give it in my life.
Until I fully realize
Until I fully realize
I've always had the power to be happy and joyful,
I've always had the power to be happy and joyful,
like any other person,
like any other person,
even without everything I wanted my dad to give me.
even without everything I wanted my dad to give me.
The power for me to be happy has always been there.
The power for me to be happy has always been there.
And yeah, I let go
I let go
of the 4-year-old who is screaming, it's unfair.
of the 4-year-old who's screaming, it's not fair.
I tell my 4-year-old self,
I tell my 4-year-old self,
it's not about fairness.
it's not about fairness.
It's about love.
It's about love.
And I love you.
And I love you.
I love you so much.
I love you so much.
And I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud of you.
Trying to get these men who can't feel to feel.
Trying to get these men who can't feel to feel.
I want your life to be easier.
I want your life to be easier.
I want you to accept you're enough.
I want you to accept you're enough.
Even if you never get
Even if you never get
what you thought was supposed to come to you from Andrew and Dad.
what you thought was supposed to come to you from Andrew or Dad.
Because that's what they promised.
Because that's what they promised.
Yeah, yeah. And then breathe. Wow. Without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I am free.
I'm free
Yeah. To love my dad and Andrew.
to love my dad and Andrew.
What are you doing? Sticking me on FaceTime? No.
Yeah, you're talking. Might as well.
Okay.
I'm
I am
typing.
free
Without
to
this
love.
pattern,
I'm free to love my dad and Andrew.
my dad and Andrew, even though they didn't give me what I wanted.
I'm free to love all people
I'm free to love all people
because I have the power to do that
because I have the power to do that
without giving up
without giving up
my power to leave,
my power, without giving up my power to leave.
to say maybe this isn't what's best for me right now,
To say maybe this isn't what's best for me right now.
to do what's best for my 4-year-old self and for me now,
To do what's best for my 4-year-old self and me right now.
even if it means
Even if it means
I'm going to let go of everything those people promised
I'm going to let go of everything those people promised.
because it's taking up too much space
It's taking up too much space
and stopping me
and stopping me
from receiving more joy and happiness
from receiving more joy and happiness
and adventure
and adventure
and romantic intimacy
and romantic intimacy,
and love
love
that I've never even experienced.
that I've never even experienced.
I let go of limiting myself
I let go of limiting myself
to the only thing I've known.
to the letting go of, wait, say that one again.
Of limiting
I
myself.
let go
I let go
of limiting myself
of limiting myself
to the only thing I've known and experienced.
to the only thing I've known and experienced.
And even though
And even though
those the best moments with my dad and Andrew were like amazing,
the best moments with my dad and Andrew were amazing,
there are feelings that are 10,000 times greater
there are feelings that are 10,000 times greater
that are waiting for me.
that are waiting for me
in much healthier relationships.
in much healthier relationships.
And I feel gratitude for my dad and Andrew, because without them, I couldn't have got to these better relationships.
And I feel gratitude for my dad and Andrew, because without them, I wouldn't have gotten to these better relationships.
Yeah, yeah. And then breathe. Oh my gosh, that feels so much better. Sorry. Okay.
Hey, I mean, you're good. We're good. We're in a good place. You got all kinds of good stuff going right now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm feeling shifts.
Yeah. So without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
yeah, I don't have to feel afraid
I don't have to feel afraid
or unworthy.
or unworthy.
Wow, with relationships
With relationships
that are so unfamiliar to what I have known.
that are so unfamiliar to what I have known.
Yeah, that are better and more enjoyable
That are better and more enjoyable
than anything I ever even thought was possible.
than anything I've ever thought was possible.
I can accept
I can accept
that at age 4, I thought something better with my dad would be the best I could have.
that at age 4, I thought that something I could have with my dad would be the best
I could
I
have
just-
something
could
better with my dad would
I
be
could have something better with my dad would be
the pinnacle of my happiness.
the pinnacle of my happiness.
And I had no idea that there are feelings that are thousands and thousands of times greater waiting for me. I had
That
no idea.
I had no idea that I had feelings that were
Way
10,000
better.
way better coming for me.
10,000 times better than what I could imagine.
10,000 times better than what I could imagine.
And even though it was unfamiliar,
And even though it was unfamiliar,
it was good for me.
it was good for me.
It was waiting for me,
It was waiting for me.
way past all this pain with Andrew and Dad.
Way past all this pain with Andrew and Dad.
And then breathe. Oh, yeah. Oh, it feels so good.
right.
It's feeling better.
All right, you got first Paige, second half mom.
Yes,
Yeah, I know she's got to run it too. So let's see. How are you feeling? Let's see. All right.
How are you feeling?
Definitely lighter. I feel like some light bulbs went off where I'm like, okay, yes, like this resonates, and I feel it like in my soul, like when you were saying some of those things. Like I knew it all along, I just didn't believe it until I heard myself say it out loud.
How about I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
even when I'm afraid.
even when I'm afraid.
Accepting these amazing new feelings,
Accepting these new amazing feelings
and going into the unfamiliar
and going into the unfamiliar
might leave someone I love behind.
might leave someone I love behind.
Yeah, breathe. Wow, that's good. I just wanted to push you into. I was like, we were in acceptance, mom, and I was like, just needed to push a little further. Oh, she's typing. Like there she is. I was typing too.
You're gonna get it all.
Oh, I love it.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Showing up into this new unfamiliar territory.
Showing up in this new unfamiliar territory.
With an open heart.
With an open heart.
And gratitude.
And gratitude.
For Dad and Andrew.
For Dad and Andrew.
Yeah. And the love that they gave.
And the love that they gave.
Even if it wasn't what I expected or wanted.
Even if it wasn't what I expected or wanted.
Because there's more ahead of me.
Because there's more ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm breathing. Uh, I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
even when I'm afraid,
even when I'm afraid.
to show up with this joy
Show up with this joy
and security.
and security.
Um, um, might mean I'll still be rejected by someone,
Might mean I'll still be rejected by someone,
or a promise will be broken.
or a promise will be broken.
Yeah, I'm brave. Yeah. I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
I love and accept myself even when I'm afraid.
Um, I'll need more than someone can give.
I'll need more than someone can give.
I'm brave. That's good. And without this pattern, I am free
And without this pattern, I'm free
to love myself more
to love myself more
and know that this and to know the source of love is abundant.
and to know that the source of love is abundant.
And there will always be enough.
And there will always be enough.
And more than enough.
It's more than enough.
Even when people let me down.
Even when people let me down.
Yeah, I'm brave. Okay, let's see where we're at. So, okay, well, I'll take this. So, again, the stress is down to like a 2. I know you're probably still processing emotions. That's to be expected. A lot of times with EPT, I say your brain is like moving faster than like the rest of you can catch up, but eventually you catch up. Like there's so much to process with every statement, and like your brain is doing it, but you're like, but it's not quite like you're stewing a little. Like it's gonna the front of your brain is slower than the back of your brain.
Let's
So
download it.
yes, exactly.
Slow servers, AOL.
But like, you know, having me and having someone else to be able to like create that story for you that you couldn't even see for yourself is what is so great about this, because like you're like trying to figure it out, but you can only figure it out inside your own paradigm.
Yeah, exactly. That's like how I felt.
So we're just like expanding that paradigm. All right, so distress is down to a 2 from a 9. But I imagine there's, like I said, still emotions flowing. And stage of healing went from anger to light emerging. So with a few other statements, it moved from acceptance to light emerging. So just like looking for changes, transition. So acceptance is, you know, you're taking action out of love for your life, not because you're trying to avoid something or out of fear. Light emerging is that transition period. And then next is creation of new life. So stage 7 is just more opportunities that you didn't think were possible are there, and you have that ability to make that creative choice, different than what you did before. So, and you can do that with like, you know, any sort of thing in your life so that you can create more. But anyway, that's how EPT goes. And I think I'm going to put your email in the chat because they'll email that to you. What's your, it's like Mandy.
Mandi.
Uh-huh.